Alright, so in this video we're going to go over how to create a simple player swapping mechanic. So we walk up to a interactable, interact with it, it gives us control of a different player in the scene, we can control them, and then we can find another interactable to swap back. So let's go ahead and build that. First thing you should do to make this happen is go find your third-person blueprint, and we gonna want to create a duplicate of it. So basically, I like to have my main one, and then the secondary one will be the one specifically that we will possess. So I got my third-person character here. I just right-click, duplicated it, and this is my BP third-person character to possess. Now, worth noting, I would, in general, I wouldn't add this mechanic in until your third-person character is done, so to speak. So, any variables, any interactions, any mechanics that are involved with your third-person character, make sure all that's done first and it's kind of in its final version. That way, when you duplicate it, everything remains the same, and you don't have any broken links or anything. So just do this one last, basically. So I just right-click, duplicate, make sure to rename it, keep the name pretty much the same. I just added to possess to the end, so it was very clear to me which one is to possess and which one is my main player. And then I just slapped a different material on them just so they were easier to tell apart. And we can go ahead and take the one that's to possess, and I'm just going to place it in the world here. So I'm going to place him up atop here. So let's go to our blueprints folder and let's create our new blueprint. So I'm going to create a new blueprint class. This is going to be an actor, and this will be my player swap demo. Name it whatever makes sense for you. Let's open it up and let's add the various components we need. So we're going to need a couple things. So first thing I'm going to add is let's grab a box collision. And then on this box collision, let's grab let's see. We're going to have to parent these in a certain way. So let's also add a cube. This will be our first platform, so let's take this cube and just kind of flatten it down like this. So it's kind of, just a flat platform, and then let's take our box and then let's resize the box just so it encompasses that platform. We basically just want to make a nice area so we know we have to go on the platform to, do the swap. And then our parenting is going to matter here, and you'll see why. So I actually want to take this collision here, this box collision, and maybe call this trigger so we know what it is. And I'm going to drag and drop this on top of the cube. That way they're parented together. And this is mostly so wherever we move the cube, the collision comes with it, and we'll see why that's important soon. And then I'm just going to select both of these. Select the first, Control, select the other, copy, paste. So we have two of them. And I'm just going to take that second one, slide it off to the side. So we have two platforms we're working with here. Great. So let's build out the code. Now the code's pretty simple. First thing we need is a couple variables. So first one we're going to add is going to be called player to possess, and the type is going to be pawn. So if we search up pawn, we should see a pawn, and then it's going to be an object reference. So, and then we want to select this, and then if we go over to the options here, we were going to turn it on to instance editable. This will basically allow us to, when we place our blueprint, we can assign what player we want to take control of, in the moment. Great. so we got that. So let's start building it out. So as usual, this will utilize our blueprint interface, our interaction interface. So if you've yet to implement that within your level, go back, have a look at Blueprint Basics number 4, which will go over the process of creating that interaction interface, because we'll want to go ahead and utilize that here. So I'm going to go up to my class settings. I'm going to go down to the implemented interfaces. I'm going to grab my BPI interact, add that in. Then I'm going to right click on it over here to implement it so we have our event. So this is going to run off of a flip-flop. So we'll search flip. We got our flip-flop. So it just swaps between A, B. And then first thing we need to do is we're going to just get player pawn. So when we get the player pawn, this is going to be a reference to like who you're currently controlling. So our main character. And if we right click the output here, we can promote it to a variable, and we're going to rename this variable original player, because we need a reference to our original pawn. That way when we swap to the new one, we know who to swap back to. So again, we're just going to get the player pawn, right click this return value, and promote it to a variable. Then let's plug this into the A, and then from here we're going to grab the node that makes it all work. We're going to grab a possess. And I believe we need the, So if we turn, if we search possess and we turn context sensitive off, we're looking for this function possess. When we grab it, it should look like this, should have a target and a pawn. So the target is who like our original person is, and that's going to be the get player controller. And then who do we want to give control to? We want to give the control to our player to possess. So this, possessing is basically just taking our controls and letting them control something else. So these are the controls. This is the new pawn we want to control. So it'll look like this. So when we interact the first time, we're going to swap over to this new player to possess. And when we press it again, we can just copy paste this, bring it down here. So when we flip back, we're going to possess, but instead of possessing this player to possess, we're going to possess the original player. Let's go ahead and add a little reroute node to organize. And that's pretty much that. So when we interact, we're going to set a reference to our original player. We're going to give control to the new player. And then when we press it again, we're going to give control back to the original. So let's compile. Let's save. Oh, we got an error here. So let's actually get player controller. So if you get that error, just go ahead and delete this get player controller and then drag out from the target and then do get player controller and then compile, and then should be good. Alright, so let's put this in action. So here's my blueprint. I'm going to drag my blueprint into the scene. I already have my player to possess placed in my scene wherever I want him to go. And when I select my blueprint here, you can see I got my two platforms. And you'll also notice in the details panel, we have this player to possess. So it wants us to plug something in there. So if I hit this little second icon, select actor and viewport, I can just select that and then hover over my player, give them a selection, and then it should have select actor and viewport. Oh, no, that's what we want to do. So player to possess, we need to assign the new character. So we'll actually select this third one here, pick actor from scene, which will just let us go select our player here. You can see it'll plug him in. So when we interact with it, this is the player we want to go to. So the general workflow here is we have our two platforms. when we hop on one, it'll swap us, and we need to be able to hop on it again to bring us back. So kind of place the blueprint where you want the first platform to be, and then if you double click on the second platform, it'll let you like move it independently. And then because of the way we have it parented, that collision box will stay with it, so we can take this second one and move it up onto this platform over here. So now I can interact with the blueprint down here as well as up here. So now to test it out, I'll press play. Here's my guy. If I press E right here, nothing will happen. I have nothing to interact with. If I walk up to the platform and press E, it'll swap my control over to this player. And there's my original guy down there. Now I can go do whatever I want to do up here, solve my puzzle, interact with any things I need to up here. And then if I go to this platform here and press E again, it'll swap me back to my original player. And from there, it's just about, knowing you have that mechanic and thinking, how can I utilize that to solve a puzzle or make a puzzle? I think a classic example could be, you start here, you swap up to here, and maybe while you're up here, you have to like lower a bridge for your original player to go across. So you kind of swap between them to make your way to the other side. But fun mechanic, pretty simple to make work, so go ahead and give that a go and see if you can't implement that into a fun and interesting puzzle.